My ear. No. I'm scared. Help me. Please help me.
Welcome back to the 13 Nights of Halloween, where we continue our thrilling journey through the eerie realms of horror cinema. As we pit original films against their spine-chilling remakes, we invite you to join us for an unforgettable night of frights and film analysis. We started the event with Black Christmas from 2018. We kicked off the series with our heated debate on the second remake of Black Christmas. We're joined by horror author Ivy Tholen and our friend Chris to discuss the many missteps in the newest remake. Then on night 2, we talked The House of Wax from 2005 with Ricky from the Nightclub podcast. Together, we dissected the gruesome visuals and modern twists that distinguished it from the 1553 classic. And then last night, we talked Suspiria from 2018. We took on the visually stunning and deeply unsettling movie with David from Journey with a Cinephile. And tonight, we have the man downstairs himself, Travis from the Nightclub podcast, as our special guest. Travis brings his infectious energy and profound knowledge of horror films, ensuring an engaging conversation you won't want to miss. Travis, glad to have you.
Yeah, man. I'll also show up shirtless, nightclub style. That's how we do. Shirtless and drinking.
It's man, the first shirtless video for our show.
Oh, this goes up somewhere?
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube.
Oh, nice. Hi, YouTube people. I'm from the Nightclub.
Check out those testicles.
Yeah, we actually launched a YouTube, but I haven't put anything up yet. So I don't know.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna do stuff, but I don't know what. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, go check out the Nightclub podcast. You can find us. Use Linktree. Type in the Nightclub podcast Linktree. You'll get our Instagram, our X account. We're on all the socials, including the Slasher app. So hit that up. And we got a fourth wall. It's like Patreon, except it has a built-in merch store. You don't have to be a subscriber to buy merch from the merch store. And since I'm on the Average podcast, I just want to say thank you guys for having me.
No, we are glad to have you. Actually, it's about a year ago that we first connected. So I first connected with you doing 13 Nights of Halloween last year. So this is like an anniversary of that connection. So
hell yeah, dude.
Yep. The Nightclub is good friends of ours. Check them out. Bailey actually was looking at your merch to get me some for my birthday.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Nice. if you have a custom request, I can whip something up.
Can you do dog sweaters?
I looked into dog clothes, and unfortunately they offer is collars right now, but I'm sure one day they'll probably bump it up to the dog clothes.
I would take a collar. Not for me, for the dog.
I was like, wow, Tim, you're really going there with the kink, bro.
Yeah, I'll wear a dog collar on the recordings.
Hell yeah.
Shot collar.
That's kinky.
Nightclub like choker.
That. Yeah.
Bailey's going to get you a shot collar now. Just watch.
Yeah. We have 2 of them already. So, all right, tonight we delve into the dark, disturbing world of David Cronenberg's The Fly from 1986. a film that masterfully blends science fiction with body horror. Starring the incomparable Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle and Gina Davis as Veronica Quaife, The Fly tells the tragic tale of a scientist whose teleportation experiment goes disastrously wrong, resulting in a horrific metamorphosis that is as mesmerizing as it is terrifying. We'll explore the film's unforgettable special effects, psychological depth, and the poignant themes of identity and transformation that make it a landmark in horror cinema.
Hell yeah.
For a film as intense and as transformative as this 1986 classic, we need a cocktail that captures its unsettling and complex nature. So if you're just joining for night 4, we've been doing cocktail pairings for every movie so far. Tonight, we have the Brundle Fly Mutation, a drink that embodies the film's grotesque transformation and eerie atmosphere. Head over to our Instagram to check out the recipe and ingredients list to mix that yourself. So grab your popcorn, mix your drink, dim the lights, and get ready to explore the haunting metamorphosis of man and insect. Let the terror take flight as we dive into The Fly.
Very well done.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to, I got to hold back my nightclubbiness when I'm on other people's shows because I so badly wanted to jump in and say, when you take a swig, do you then just cough it up like onto your own hand, like awkwardly in front of people?
You gotta dissolve it a little bit.
Yeah.
No, don't
Are
hold
there
back.
donuts in this drink?
Don't hold back. Ricky didn't hold back. We declassed the Vincent Price House of Wax real quick. It was great.
Oh,
It
okay.
was great.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
Well, I stepping on, I don't want to step on toes, but
No.
okay. Well, if I think of something funny to say, I'll just blurt it out like a dumbass.
Okay.
Step on it.
Do it. So diving into the story, I didn't mention my wife is joining tonight. So she does.
Hello.
You don't see her very often on these.
I don't have infectious energy
Oh,
for college. I'm just here.
Damn.
If she shows up, that means she really enjoyed the movie. So that's why she's here, because she actually quite enjoyed this film. So
She hasn't really enjoyed a lot of the other ones, has she?
no, and I don't even know how much she liked this one. We'll put it that way. So the first category is story for this. Kicking it off, it is a remake, very similar story. I don't know about exact story beats. It's been a long time since I saw the original. But they're both teleportation devices, are they not?
Yeah, there is. I think this is a drastically different movie from the original.
Okay. So it's been a long time since I went through my Vincent Price phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't eat. It's been at least 10 years since I saw the original. So
when you see it again, you're gonna be like, oh shit, they got a fly with a man's head on it.
So I do take off one point because it is a remake. However, I think this film is an incredible story. I think it's a great story. I gave it a 4, docking it just 1 for the remake category. But I think this has more classic horror themes in it. You know, the comparisons to Frankenstein are there. We get that monster that scientist creates. The monster just happens to be himself. I love this story. I think it's pretty original. I can't really compare it. It has more in line with those classic horror tales to me than anything else. And that's part of why I love it so much. But I gave it a 4. I think it's a great story. It's pretty original. They take the premise of the previous film and they turn it into something new. And they turn it into something that is surprisingly profound. So I'm a big fan of this movie. I gave it a 4.
What about you, Bailey? What'd you give it? Story.
I think I gave it a 5.
I think you gave it a 5.
I don't know. I like science movies, even though I don't know if the science is real, but that's why I like Jurassic Park, because it was science dinosaurs. But yeah,
Science
I like it,
dinosaurs.
yeah. That's my comment.
Yeah, this I didn't consider docking a point for the remake. Not for any real reason. Like I just didn't even think to do that, and I didn't do that. This is a fucking
Good.
5, all the way. What the original is from my memory is a drastically different fucking movie. And yeah, I'm not gonna get into that, but this movie, I don't know how much of it, because this came out in the mid 80s, 86, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this had something to do with the AIDS pandemic, but I get that vibe of like, people like the mutations, and it's like obvious what's going on. He's call it a disease the whole time. The disease is once this, once that. Goldblum is saying. Also, I mean, it's a romance slightly. There's a romantic angle to it, and living with someone who is sick, who you're in love with, can be pretty fucking difficult. I've never had to do that, but I can just, see that would be a taxing experience. And this is obviously taken to the extreme, and Cronenberg infused this movie with all of his majesty. He was signed on as the original director. Let me not get into Cronenberg. Sorry. I'll tangent. We'll save that for director part. But yeah, he definitely infuses it with what he was already known for at the time, the body horror. And I'm just saying, this is magnifique. This is perfection when it comes to body horror. So really good story. 5 points out of 5.
All right, Jonathan.
Whale. I just want to say is first off, the fact that it's all about mutations. Like I'm watching Rick and Morty and that whole Cronenberg world shit and how crazy that was. And then like you see this, it's a whole story about freak mutation, and the director's last name is Cronenberg. I just think that's like kind of awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, geez, Rick, it's a bunch of Cronenbergs. Shut up, Morty. Yeah.
But yeah, the story, I remember watching this when I was a kid, like probably like early 90s. And, I was born in the early 80s. And like, I watched it back then, but I haven't watched it since then. So when I watched it again last night, I was just like, wow, crazy. I was so close to giving it a 5, but I went with a 4. The story is insane, amazing. You got this introvert, shy scientist who's just like cute, affable, whatever, trying to pick up this woman who turns out she's a journalist. He knows she's a journalist, goes through all this just to get her attention, shows her this thing, and everything goes crazy from there. With the mutations and the how fast the relationship dynamic forms, and her being on board with the project, and then how it all goes to shit after he gets all stupid and jealous and drunk and then messes himself up, and how crazy it goes from there all the way to the insanity and the tragedy of how it ends was just fantastic. And with the science element of it and the mutation, this whole aspect of, oh, I'm going to create teleportation because I get motion sick and this will cure that. And then just goes off on a tangent while he's drunk in his jealousy and messes himself up by fusing himself, turning his old project into a gene splicing project, and messes himself up with his fly DNA, and how wayward it goes from there is fantastic. Like I was going to give it a 5, but I was like, no, it was awesome, but it's not super incredibly fantastic. So I felt like a 4 was a good place to be with it.
He could have saved himself a lot of trouble if he'd have just took some Dramamine straight up.
Yeah. Or if he'd have just checked his pod and not been a dumbass, in his drunkenness, whatever.
Look, man, we all have those crazy nights where we climb into our telepod, wasted, and fucking just shit happens, man.
Merge with a fly. Yeah.
I'm going to do this project without her. I'll show her.
Because that past life, that ex-boyfriend is messing with him.
Oh,
so
bruh.
Into that character, this movie is the definition of a character arc. Like,
yeah,
maybe not the definition, but this is a perfect example of somebody literally going through a transformation throughout the movie to the conclusion. So there was no way I was coming out of this movie giving it anything less than a 5 on the character arc. And that goes for both Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum's character. They have great arcs from her first being interested in a story to then being interested in him, and on that tragedy of watching somebody that she's fallen in love with go through this. Like Travis said, that's not an easy thing to do. And that's hard. And you watch him struggle from when you get this, like, I was getting Sam Raimi's Spider-Man moments, like shortly after when he's doing the gymnastics and climbing on the ceiling. I was like, that's Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Sam Raimi stole that from this movie when he did the Spider-Man movie. And we're getting that strength and everything seems positive. And then we get his downward trajectory and we follow back up to that tragic ending. It's beautiful. I love it. And there's a lot of different interpretations of what you can walk away from this movie. From Travis, you mentioned the AIDS epidemic in the 80s and the way that was viewed. There's also a lot, some people think it's about aging. It's the horrors of aging and watching someone you love suffer from aging.
Yeah.
Or
their teeth fall out. Yeah. That people have nightmares of their teeth falling out, and that's like a real ass thing.
Yeah. Happens to me like probably, I don't know, a few times a year. I have dreams.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of a common nightmare too.
Like, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So disease and aging, the AIDS epidemic, there's a Frankenstein parallel, just this loss of humanity that he goes through. It, like I said, it's a 5. This kind of took me by surprise. I've seen it a while ago. And I think when I saw it, I was going through that, like, there's no way it could be as good as the original kind of stupid haughtiness about it. And so I just didn't care for it. It bored me, didn't pay attention those years ago. Watching it again for 13 Nights of Halloween, I was blown away at the depth and beauty of the story. So for me, 5 all the way for that character art.
Hell
and then
yeah.
Bailey.
Same.
Liking that Goldblum and that Gina Davis CC's. What's her character's real name? Because I knew her as Ronnie. What is it? Veronica what?
Quaif.
Quaif.
Not Queef. Quaif.
So her stage name is Ronnie Queef. That's what we're going with. All right. 5 out of 5 again for the character arcs here. Gina Davis is awesome as, like, she wants to nail a really sensational story, plays that character really well. And yeah, because of fucking this dude's name is like, I want to say Stannis Baratheon, but it's not. It's like
it's like Stathis, isn't it?
Stathis.
I made a comment about that in my. Didn't know what it was.
It's Stathis. Stathis Baron is his name.
Yeah,
and it makes me think of Stannis Baratheon.
No, it's a very
Stathis Borans.
Stathis Borans. Okay.
Yeah,
it's kind of close, right?
He's really the only other character of note in the film, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just them 3 the whole time. Yeah. You got a side characters here and there who are all more than serviceable. But that pervy douchebag ex-boyfriend boss of Gina Davis, he's just fun. I like him. I like that scene where he's like, she goes back to her apartment and catches him in the shower, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I was in the neighborhood. I felt scummy." Like, yeah, you scumbag.
You are scummy.
Yeah, dude.
That line when he's just like, "What about sex? No emotions. What about?" I'm like, man, you can tell when this was made, because I don't think he'd have a job today.
No, hell no. Well, I say hell no, but who knows what still goes on.
Depends how much money he has.
Yeah. But Gina Davis then, falling in love with the genius boy wonder, Goldblum, and you watch her pain of watching him go through pain. Gina Davis nails this, man. She is perfect to the very last frame of this picture. And Goldblum, you keep saying Frankenstein, and I had this interpretation watching it that it was like a slow Jekyll to Hyde, like a slow, but that brings up that classic sensibility you were talking about this movie having, and I guess that's classic Hollywood, monster movie, but I at least that's the vibe I got off of it too. Was like, just this is like another version of that story, kind of, which is different plot elements and things thrown in there, but the characters are fantastic. Kudos once again to Cronenberg, because he also would be rewriting shit from the script all the time. Like, yeah, no, I'm changing this. The character arc nobody talks about is that poor baboon that gets turned inside out, man.
No, that monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how his brother hangs around.
Yeah. He's just like, I get all the treats now. He eats all of the cookie dough wads.
Did you figure out what happened to the living baboon? Like,
never comes up. It just falls off.
She wanted to know if that baboon disappears. Yeah.
I have an answer if you want it now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's dead now.
Oh, he's very much
vomited
dead.
and ate it.
Yeah.
No. There's a deleted scene where Jeff Goldblum's takes that baboons and a cat, and because he's testing out merging two beings into one, like what his plan is at the end. So he's testing it. So he puts the baboon over here and the kitty over there, merges them together, and they come out as this vicious hybrid crazy thing, and he beats it to death with a pipe.
What?
Yeah.
No way. Oh, I gotta look that
wild.
up.
Look it up.
Yeah. So it's also a tragic end for the brother of the Inside Out baboon.
Well, that's very upsetting.
Yeah. So no animal made it out of this movie alive.
There's no happy ending. This is just bleak. It's in its own philosophical way. It's cosmic as fuck.
Dude, this is, like you said, the classic sensibilities. And I think that's what I'm making the comparison to, not directly to Frankenstein. Yeah, in a way, he created his own monster, but I like what you said about the slow Jekyll to Hyde. But it's that classic sensibility of the slow burn, the obsession, the horror is classic. I don't know how else to describe it. It's something you feel.
It's like Breaking Bad, man. It's like watching Walter White slowly turn into Heisenberg, It's that good guy going to anti-hero, or it's the Dark Knight quote. You live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I guess that's all sort of springs forth from whatever this original idea is, that like humans are corruptible in various ways, and he was corrupted by his drunken ambition,
his hubris.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jonathan.
So as far as arcs go, man, you're right. There was a lot of arc action. This is definitely an arc film with Gina Davis, through everything that she goes through emotionally. It was a very brisk romance. She's still dealing with her ex-boyfriend / editor and his bullshit, trying to go out and do something, meets him, gets on board with this project, whirlwind romance, things get crazy. And then once she gets serious with the accident, with things, with teleportation, it just goes horribly wrong with her. And then finding out that she's pregnant, and then having this abortion nightmare of this giant larva being pulled out of her.
Oh, yeah.
Just how intense that is.
Yeah.
That's got to be just so brutal for someone to have to deal with. And then going through the end and having to eventually do this mercy killing at the end of it just is got to just tear her absolutely apart. It kind of kills me, though, because you never get resolution in this film what happens with the pregnancy. Of course, that does get explained and resolved in the sequel to The Fly 2. So, you can always watch that and see how that plays on with Eric Stoltz and other people. And with Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle, man, the guy, he starts out as this innocent, affable scientist who's looking for love. He's lonely. He's been in this warehouse for a long time. Meets her, gets her back to his place, and gets her on. But it falls into everything, and he's so happy. He's so excited. He's able to do his work. He's got someone to help push him and to help him find the success when they get the breakthrough, and then for it all to fall apart, and then for his mentality to change as he transforms with this accidental splicing. It sucks, and the mental impact that's got to have, and how he changes throughout the story towards the end. He's like, and when he tells her, "You have to leave. You can't stay here. I will hurt you." When he's explaining the whole insect politics thing, it was crazy how that worked out. But the other arc, though, Stannis has an arc. He is such a D-bag. He seems like such a scummy piece of shit, but then eventually towards the end, he is this support for Ronnie while she's going through this tragic situation with Seth, and then ends up being sort of like a side hero.
Yeah, he ends
by
up being
helping her escape the pod and not be spliced up with everything, even though he gets totally effed in the situation.
Yeah.
But he has a bit of arc as growth. You see some growth with him as being not just some sleazebag ex-boyfriend, but becoming so much more and being like a side kind of anti-hero. He's the jagbag who still kind of saves the day.
He's a grower, not a shower.
Exactly. There you go. That's
and
right.
He would like that joke, that nasty.
Oh, he surely would. He would. That's absolute. But overall, like it's a lot of sweetness in how much arc there is. But I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4.
Okay.
Only because of the fact that you don't get any kind of resolution with the pregnancy by the anywhere near the end of the film.
Okay.
Unless you watch more deleted scenes.
Oh, there's more in the deleted scenes on that,
and it's not worth it. You'd rather it end like this because it's stupid.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
So the next category is the music and sound design, which music for this movie is composed by Howard Shore, the Lord of the Rings composing Howard Shore.
Oh,
but he actually got his start on Cronenberg movies. So one of his second movie ever, he did the music for The Brood. He did Scanners, Videodrome. And shortly after that, The Fly. Some other things in between there, but the music in this movie is, as to be expected with Howard Shore, it's fantastic. The music is from the opening credits. We're sitting there watching the movie, and I looked at her and I was like, this music is incredible. It's beautiful because in the theme that he composed for The Fly, I hear both the beauty and the tragedy of the story just through the music. He communicates the feel of the movie through the music. And then on top of that, we are talking about the creature sound effects and just how squishy and sloppy and gross all of those sound effects are. And it's also fantastic. But there's this balance of silence at times where that kind of create this isolation throughout the film, where we really, this movie takes place 90% in one room. And there's that isolation throughout all of it. We get a couple scenes here and there, but the music kind of aids in that. The music heightens the moments it's supposed to in a beautiful way. I often say that, fives are the Jaws in Star Wars of the worlds. They're the easy recognized John Williams. But this is one that, for me, this music was fantastic, and I would listen to it on its own. I would listen to just the score to The Fly because it is such a beautiful soundtrack for a horror movie. It's not just frightening in the way that horror movie soundtracks are supposed to be. But like I said, I can hear the tragedy in the way Howard Shore wrote the music. It's something bigger. So we're going to do some of the classic movies. We talked about Vincent Price. We have the Vincent Price House of Wax coming up in a couple nights. But this soundtrack reminded me more of those classic horror soundtracks, those big musical moments accompanying the correct scenes. This was a 5 for me. It was a knockout from Howard Shore. I love everything from the sound design to the music itself. I would, the opening theme, I'll just go back to that again. And I just love listening to it. I will sit through those credits. They're not the most exciting credits I've ever seen at the beginning of a movie, but the music is worth just sitting there and listening to because it is fantastic.
That was a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
I think I gave it a 3 because I didn't think anything about it. But I also think you're biased because of Lord of the Rings. So
That's not true.
That's a hot take. Yep.
Shots fired.
Coming after the greatest movies ever made, but okay.
Oh yeah, side tangent. Howard Shore came from horror. So did Peter Jackson. Lord of the Rings is steeped in horror, baby.
It's even New Line Cinema, which began with horror.
That's why the mud people are so scary.
The mud people, the Uruk-hai. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They are. Peter Jackson knew how to fucking terrify everybody's ass. Okay, so actually, I find the opening theme derivative of The Shining. No, fuck no, man. This is a 5 out of 5. This is amazing. I actually did get Shining vibes from the opening theme, but in the best ways. And when you talk about striking a balance between a really good score, that this is the kind of score that if you pay attention to it, it'll stand out. But if you don't, it does its job and it just goes with the movie. That Bailey, as an example, she just it just worked. It did it so well she didn't even notice it. But I bet subconsciously it adds to the experience. That balance with the silence is perfectly done in a scene that one of y'all mentioned earlier, the gymnastics scene where Brundle is figuring out, oh my God, I could be in the Olympics soon.
I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Brundle-nastics.
Yeah, dude. But it turns out he's going to be the one fucking chunking pumpkin bombs, that evil son of a bitch. Oh shit. Yeah, look, the score is tremendous. And there was a song that was sanctioned for this movie by Roxy Music. And they wrote a song called Help Me, which was originally going to play over the ending credits, but it's like a pop song love ballad. And Cronenberg was like, this just doesn't fit with the movie. So you can actually hear it in the movie when Brundle goes to the bar to snap that dude's arm in half.
Yeah.
It's nice and medium. Blah.
Yeah, dude. I bet you $100 and taking that lady home for the night. Like,
what do you think I am?
A prostitute.
Yeah. And
he doesn't argue.
No. He's like, you know what you are. No,
it's like, I like Mike tonight.
It's fantastic, man. I love the score. I have no issues with it whatsoever. It works with it, and I think if you would play it on its own, it would give you the vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So I was really immersed into the dialogue and the visuals of everything of what was happening. So I fall in line with Bailey on this. It all just kind of blended, and it helped accentuate things in the background. But ultimately, it wasn't something I really paid attention to. So I'm sitting at a 3 as well. That's it's hard for me to really pay attention to the sound when there's so much to look at. So that's just where I kind of get stuck with it. You know, it was good. It was definitely very, very 80s soundtrack kind of sound. But other than that, it just didn't really stand out too much for me. I mean, you get some of those sound effects from like, once the baboon is unsuccessful with teleportation and you see it and it's like the sounds of like just
such a
weird
gross sound. I love it.
Wheelie, squelchy, freak out sounds, you know. It gets you, man. It's out there. But aside from that, nothing else really caught much for me.
Oh,
So
Jonathan,
yeah.
when he squeezes his fucking bulbous ass finger and it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Dr.
Right when his
Pimple
ear
Popper
comes
right
off
there.
or the jaw,
Oh,
the sounds,
Nasty
the squelches.
squishes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
nasty squishes
fingernail
versus
stuff?
the good squishes on the couch. On that pull-out couch bed. Oh man.
What is that nasty line? You got so much liquid inside you. So
Oh, I don't remember it.
she says something about how she doesn't know how he has so much juice inside of him.
Oh, yeah. She's like, we've been at it for hours. I'm surprised you still have any fluids left in your body.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Awful line.
And he's just, he's kissing her. And if you notice when he kisses her, he like licks his lips. Because you know why flies pester you? Because they're attracted to the oils and the salt from your skin. That's why they constantly keep landing on you. They're not trying to bother you. They're just like, I really like all this.
You taste good.
Yeah, so he was tasting her literally when he was kissing her. Like that boy was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
then he had to quick run to the freezer and start eating all the ice cream.
So you mentioned not just the sound design, but you mentioned some of the special effects when you're talking about popping his finger, his bulbous finger in the mirror. Jonathan mentioned one of my favorites was ripping his jaw off at the end. The effects in this film, I don't like vomit. So this movie, the first time when he just pukes on the food it's kind of played for laughs. It's played for laughs. I thought that scene was funny. At the end, when he is vomiting on Stannis Baratheon.
Yeah.
That scene, I almost threw up. I leaned back to her. I was like, I'm going to be sick. It's so good.
It was epic. It was so epic. I loved that part.
I physically got ill because of how fantastic that scene was. I thought I was going to sympathetic puke because of it.
The part of it that freaks me out, though, that specific scene, is whenever homeboy, his fist is melting in front of his own face and he's starting to like pass out. The part that I get creeped out at is once Stannis falls on the floor, Brundlefly is like doing that fly shit where he's quick looking everywhere. And then he like just hovers over his leg and starts. I'm like, you creepy son of a bitch. You're being creepy on purpose, aren't you?
I thought he was going to start eating him.
Deleted scene.
Deleted scene.
In a deleted scene, after he spits all over his foot, his ankle, he starts eating the foot.
That makes sense to me. That's where I thought it was going, but that is done so well. But also the scene when like the flesh falls off of the final fly form before he goes back in looks so fantastic, from the eyeballs popping and melting down the face. So good. Cronenberg does not disappoint when it comes to this kind of stuff. And this, from the slow effects at the beginning, I hate fingernail stuff too. Body horror is not my thing, but the fingernail stuff, because it grosses me out. But the fingernail stuff in the mirror, that was gross. Popping it with the zit, I actually don't mind like zit popping stuff. That's fine with me. But fingernails, vomit.
Ew, brother. Ew.
I can take that. So I loved the effects in it. I also thought just the transitions with the special effects of the teleportation device looked good.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing is a masterclass in practical effects for creature design. The puppetry on the final creature is insane. It's so good from bottom to top. And the final creature design, when he grabs that rifle in his pincer and holds it to his head, the amount of emotion that they showed on this creature is insane.
He had big sad fly eyes.
Yeah.
Buzz,
Big
buzz,
sad
buzz.
flies. There's no way a CGI fly creature would have ever looked that good. Ever.
Hell no.
I don't believe it. This is a masterclass in practical creature design and effects. This was a 5 for me. I was blown away by this. I loved it. Thought it was so good.
Yes. The only thing I was gonna
Why
say,
she's always on the show.
yeah, I have so much to say about movies. I just remember it's better than The Exorcist, because when The Exorcist girl threw up, I just started laughing, and I think I was like 12 when I watched it. I was like, this is so stupid. But it was good enough that I thought it was really gross and also sad. So 5 out of 5.
Gross and sad are like the two things that get her to show up for a movie.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, hot damn.
How does Brundlefly eat? That first scene when he just does it in front of Gina Davis, like, because he's not thinking about it. The first time he pukes on the whatever he's holding, like a donut or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That's disgusting." I'm like, that's the part that made me laugh. The part where he's doing the video demonstration and it cuts to us watching Stannis Baratheon pining over the Iron Throne, but watching this video in the meantime. That was so effective. And I know we're not on the editing yet, but just that one part. But that's when it was more gross to me, even though you didn't get to see it. You just got to hear it. And that's more sound design. But we're talking special effects. Special effects.
The editing and special effects are lumped together for exactly that reason. So
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
good. Then that worked out. Just that overall, when it comes to the editing in this movie, I find no fault in it. There's nothing that I would change about any single scene that I saw in this movie. So that's great. And that the last 8 to 10 minutes, or like you said, dude, that's a tour de force.
yeah.
The movie is sprinkled with special effects that are 10 out of 10. And this is Cronenberg at the height of his powers. He's done great shit before this and great shit after it. But this is the fucking Fly, bro. Like, dude, the ending where you talk about the shotgun. He's holding the shotgun to his head, and Gina Davis crying, just like, and saying no, like, no, God, no. And then she blows it apart. That mercy killing, it's incredible. If I was David Cronenberg, I'd have just been hard the whole time I'm making this. Not because I like the way it looks, but I just know, like, yeah, dude, I'm doing this shit. This is fucking happening right now. He has to walk off that set with a just feeling incredible, man. That to make a movie like this in general and have these effects, 5 out of 5 for the effects and the editing. It's fucking, so far I'm just knocking it out the park with these 5s. I'm just saying.
Well, for me, man, the 80s was such a fantastic time of practical effects anyway. There were so many films that had so much awesomeness in it through practical effects. This film just had so much of it, and it was so good. Like, even like when you see the scene in the bar where he's arm wrestling Mickey, and that back and forth, even that close-up shot where you see like the fluids coming out from under Seth's fingers while he's gripping, and the back and forth, and then the snap, and then you see the bone sticking out of his arm. Everything just right out. And it's just, oh my God. It just really gets you seeing that. And it was so fantastic. And then you've got the 7 stages of development of the transformation as you watch the film, little bit by bit. And eventually you see the part where the pieces are falling off, where the ear comes off, and then while he's peeling all the other stuff off, even with the fingernails, like, oh God, fingernails is rough, dude. I've had to pull fingernails out. I had a pinky toenail I stubbed once that peeled it up, and I just had to pull the thing out. My big toe got jacked up. I had to cut it off pieces and pull it out from the root. Oh yeah, you got some going on there, Travis?
You can't see it really well on the camera, but I've had this finger completely split in half down the middle. and the fingernail, I found it on the ground. It was curled up, like when it's not in your finger, I guess it curls up like a piece of paper or a scroll. I had a little fingernail scroll, dude. Hey, when my finger got split, I was loading some pipe onto a trailer, and the dude, it was some 4-inch PVC. That guy on the other end, he shoved that pipe, and my finger got caught between the pipe and the railing on the trailer. Instant split in half. I'm holding it, blood everywhere. I got pictures. I'll send them to you. You could look at them.
I'll pass right the hell out.
You could go to bed. That's how you're gonna go to bed tonight. And dude, it was so painful. So I feel Brundlefly's pain in that moment. And one other quick little thing, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. That liquid he was emitting, do you know what that is?
It's an enzyme.
I know a little too much about flies, I guess.
Yeah, fly juice. I don't know.
It's a digestive enzyme. Yeah.
The thing coming out of his fingers is what allows the flies to like walk on walls and shit like that. That goo coming out of his fingers is why later in the movie you see him, which amazing special effect, having Jeff Goldblum crawl all over the ceiling and the walls throughout this fucking movie. But yeah, that's what that juice is coming out of his fingers. That shit that he squirts against the mirror and all that. Yeah.
Okay, well, that kind of explains part of the whole arm wrestling scene and how he had such a good grip then, because he's using that juice from his fingers to really get that grip in to really pull down on him.
Hell yeah,
I was wondering how it didn't make it slippery. So that makes sense. That answers that.
Yeah,
like that guy's hand should be slipping right out. But
that fly juice cut
is lubricating his hand.
But yeah, even from then though, like as more stuff comes off, you see that one part where he opens the bathroom cabinet and he's got his little cabinet of horrors of his pieces. Like his dick's already falling off.
It's the Brundlefly Museum of Natural History, dude. Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole fucking movie.
Yeah. There was so much awesomeness in those effects. Even like towards the end of the film where Stathis saves Ronnie by blowing up the cable to the computer, and Brundlefly tries to escape the pod to try and get after them, and it all goes down in the piece. Like the effects of just like him disappearing, the dematerialization, him in the part of the door in the pod, and then reemerging from the other one, and how twisted and messed up everything is from the combination of it. It was amazing. It just looked so awesome. There was some great stuff there.
The people that wrote the $6 million Man, they were like, we can rebuild him. We can make him strong. Oh no. Oh, not like that.
No, not even close like that. And like, even when you see like the first baboon, brother, and like how twisted that was, and like how it shuddered and moved and just all twisted, being inside out, was so freaky.
Oh,
like,
that
had to be so insane with so many people.
Is the way it's moving and the sounds that goop is making, just like I got the impression that baboon felt it.
Oh yeah.
That baboon felt being turned inside out and left on the floor of that pod. That was tragic in itself. So good.
Imagine a fate like that. Like imagine that fate for yourself, like being inside out the whole way. Like someone took you like a glove and just whoop. Yeah. Dude, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yep. No, spanking the monkey in the wrong way.
Oh no! Images in my head.
But there's so much good stuff though, man. You got to have some major appreciation for it. I'm not going to say it's top notch, super supreme. So I gave it a 4. It was close to 5, but I gave it. I was pretty solid at 4, almost like 4.5.
You're gonna have to answer Travis on that one.
Just a question. What movie has better practical effect? I think there's a lot that are on par, like The Thing, but like what is better than this? I'd like to know.
I would need more time for deliberation on that. I would need more time on the spot. I couldn't tell you,
because I want a good recommend, man. Like I want to go watch what is better than this and be like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Because
let me think on that and I'll get back to you on that. But okay. I don't know if there's any film I would give a total 5, because 5 is that's top notch Chef's Kiss. Like
That's where I'm at with this movie. I'm at top notch Chef's Kiss with this one.
I'll think on it and I'll get back to you on that, Travis, at some point.
I'm gonna kiss the chef's butthole on this movie. Yeah, dude.
With your little fly mouth that's hanging off that he had towards the end after the transformation, his jaw comes off.
I used to know what that was called. I don't anymore, but it's some crazy word like a baluba or some shit. I don't know.
I would have just used the proboscis.
Proboscis.
Oh, I thought of a movie. The Grinch. I think that looks pretty good.
I mean, I love the Jim Carrey Grinch.
Yeah.
I love that movie. They did a great fucking job with all the fucking makeup and all the shit in that movie. Imagine having to stage all that stuff and get it all right. That's crazy.
Cindy Lou Who
is
now the lead singer of a band.
Really?
Awesome.
Snap.
Pretty reckless. It's a metal band.
Is it Cindy Lou and the Who's?
No,
because that would be
the Pretty Reckless. It's a metal hard rock band.
I've heard of the band, but I don't know if I heard their music.
Yeah, the lead singer is Cindy Lou Who. She was recently bit by a bat on stage during
shit
performance. Yeah, it's crazy.
Damn. She tried to copy Ozzy and the bat bit back.
Yeah,
the video of her, that bat just flies up and lands on her shorts and is there for a little bit and then bites her leg. It's weird. It's weird.
Is she like the female Mobius now?
It's better than the Jared Leto version for sure. So the script now. We talked about the special effects. The script in this movie. The script in this movie is another one that caught me by surprise. Bailey mentioned earlier that she enjoyed this movie because of the science elements in it as well as the tragedy. But the science is explained. I love that it's dumbed down enough for us to understand, but still sounds plausible in the way that it's written. They still try to make it make sense. Other than the fact that he had to teach the computer the significance of the flesh, that's kind of vague. But it's also kind of, it works. It makes sense. I like it. But there are some killer lines in this movie. When you mentioned the insect politics, and he says they don't have any, they're very brutal, but he says, I am an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it. But now the dream is over and the insect is awake. Such a good line.
10 out of 10.
I love that line. Yeah. And then when there's that moment when he's hugging Ronnie and he says he's afraid.
Mm-hmm.
That is just, it's raw. It's so good.
He's like, help me, yes. Please.
It's so powerful and it's so good. Help me be human. So good. It's also a surprising amount of humor in the movie. Like you mentioned the Brundle Museum of Natural History. You want to see what else is in it. There's funny elements in this. I'm trying to think.
The line whenever he tells her like that he accidentally also made a gene splicing machine and he says the computer didn't know what to do, so it just put me and the fly together and mated us. I was never even properly introduced.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. And even her line about Stathis, who we've referred to as Stannis Baratheon, about when he sends that cover art to Seth's house, and she looks at it and she says, the residue of a former life, it's time to finally scrape it off my shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so good. So from top to bottom, again, this script is so much better than it has any right to be. It hits the tragedy. It hits the emotion, the horror. It hits all the right notes. This is why I watch horror movies. This script, this movie is why I watch horror movies, to kind of get this resonance with these characters, even though I am not slowly turning into a fly. Just that idea of seeing yourself become something you don't want to be. It's deep. It hits all the right notes for me. I gave this script a 5. I think it is I'll save it for final thoughts, but this script does not sleep at all. This script is fantastic all the way through.
Oh, I think I said 4 because I didn't know what else to say.
You should just give it a 5 then.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
yeah, you gave it a 4, but
it is what it is. I thought it was good.
It is what it is.
I think, did I laugh one time?
I think you did laugh.
I think I laughed one time. So that's pretty good.
Which, if she laughs, that's amazing.
Yeah.
She laughed one time at Deadpool, even though she will tell you she didn't. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know how you don't laugh at Ryan Reynolds. I love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's hilarious.
I just look at his face and laugh. He's got such a dopey.
He's got
a weird, but he is a handsome fella. Good on you, Ryan Reynolds.
His eyes are a little too close together, but
whoa.
Don't you talk about that angel that way. Don't you talk about his beautiful eyes.
Don't talk about my Brundle baby fly like that.
Are you censoring it? Okay.
Yeah, I've been looking at it every once in a while. If you leave this in for the listeners, Tim and Bailey have The Fly playing in the background, and it's very fucking cool.
I watch it.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking at it.
I saw the arm breaking part, and I was like, yes.
That's where Roxy Music is playing. The script, yeah, you said it all. You said it all. Really, like a lot of the best lines, and I'm hard pressed to really think of some more at the moment. But the movie's littered with them. Like, there's more than just that. From like top to bottom, the script is tight. This movie is an hour 35 with credits at the beginning and the end. So you're looking at probably an hour 27 or something of just boom, 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 giving it to you. Chef's butthole kiss bliss. Like, this is awesome. And a lot of this is because of almost called him Carpenter, Cronenberg, which I'm going to save for the directing, I guess. But since it is a script, the original script, when he got hold of this project and he had to give it away for a minute, but then he got it back. He was just like, yeah, I want to change what I want to change. And they were like, yeah, you can go ahead. I don't know if we talked about this or if y'all do, but the budget for this movie was around, well, estimates between 9 and 15. So let's call it 10 or 11 million dollars. It made I think it was 60 something million at the box office. This movie was a smash. Okay. It was a banger in 86. And it's all because of this fucking script. This is what the acting is all coming off of. This is what all the special effects were, it's written in there. By the way, this is an Oscar-winning film. It won an Oscar for the makeup and effects. So also that's the previous category, but still, it came from the script, baby. 5 out of 5.
Heck yeah. The script had a lot of great dialogue. It is undeniable. Fantastic dialogue from the very start when they meet at the party between Seth and Ronnie. And she's just like, you don't get out much, do you? And he's just like, you can tell that, just and how clueless he sounded about it, between that and his explanation of trying to get her to understand the project, even between the dialogue between her and Stathis and his bullshit. Even when they're talking when he stalks her into that clothing store and and everything that goes between them, there was so much good, just smart dialogue, and it's cute and it's funny. Some of it's a little punchy. It was really good. I like the way that they wrote it out. So I put a 4, but I'm gonna put
yeah, you will.
All right, fuck it, 5.
Yeah,
there we go.
Hell yeah.
It's hard to beat that dialogue. It was such smart dialogue, and the way that it's delivered, it's hard to beat that, man. It's damn good. It's damn good.
I can't think of an exchange in the film that comes across as awkward or poorly written, because there isn't one. Even when Stathis is being disgusting, it's fits the character so smoothly and effortlessly. It's so good. And then there's the moments of Goldblum just going on tangents and losing his mind. And the script is still...
Oh, dude, you jog my memory. I love when he's like, "You're afraid of getting spliced up, aren't you? You're afraid of getting put back together, aren't you, huh? Well, I'm talking about going beyond the veil of flesh into the plasma pool." And I'm like, God damn, Goldblum's going crazy.
Yep, that is exactly what I was talking about. It's just so good. The script is amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Even when like they're in that little cafe scene between Seth and Ronnie, and he's getting so fucking hyped. And she's like, "Oh, do you normally take coffee with your sugar?" And he's like continually pouring, like putting the sugar in and stuff while he's just on his rant. Just like, man, fantastic dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh,
and to compare those scenes with earlier, when he is that kind of awkward nerd who's kind of, you get this idea that he might be a little bit insecure, but he's trying to impress her.
Mm-hmm.
And then towards the end, when he just becomes obsessive. And I love the scene when they first get there at the beginning and he's sitting down at the piano and he plays and she's like, "Well, I should probably get going." And he goes, "Oh, I can't let you leave now. Not after you've seen them." Like pretending he's the crazy killer. I was like, it was so...
When he's saying that, he also plays ominous notes on the piano to match his dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
sound. Yeah.
The nuances that are at play are incredible. If the Academy wouldn't be some snobby snob fucks, this movie could have been nominated for a lot of shit that year.
Yeah.
A lot of shit.
I gotta say, I
better
love
than The Shape of Water.
I do really like that movie, but yeah, this is better than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Shape of Water too, but this is like, that was an Academy Award for Best Picture, and this film is better.
It took them a long time to come around. You know, they still snubbed my bae, Toni Collette, for Hereditary.
That's her favorite.
She should have won best
favorites. Yeah,
she should have won Best Actress, and I don't remember what was the nominees that year because I stopped paying attention a long time ago. I used to keep up with that, but Hereditary should have won Best Picture too.
She was insanely good in that film. She makes that film.
Oh yeah,
she makes it. So speaking of making the film, the direction, we've been talking about Cronenberg because his fingerprints are all over this movie.
Whoa.
Acting.
You're skipping acting, dude.
Oh, I skipped acting.
And that's the great thing about this movie. The script is like for this movie, script is an amazing segue into the acting for this one. So
yeah, it is, because not just are we acknowledging these subtle changes that are happening with Goldblum's Seth Brundle's character throughout the film, but the way he performs these changes is amazing. So Travis mentioned that little bit of him tasting her earlier during that kissing scene, but the way he just gradually like does these little head movements and ticks, and just slowly his body starts to act different, hunched over, the way he starts to talk faster or more obsessively. So watching this again, coming back to it after a couple of years, I was like, he's not that good in the beginning. I was like, he's fine. He's Jeff Goldblum, but he's kind of wooden. And then you realize that he's wooden on purpose because he's about to go crazy. And it's just another layer of like, he's wooden because that character is kind of stiff and wooden. And then as he starts to become the Fly, he starts to let loose and become unleashed. And he's amazing.
He goes full Nick Cage.
Oh, it's fantastic. And then Gina Davis is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the sadness on her face? And you see the kind of the disinterest at the beginning of her. We talked about the character arcs, but she's just there to write a story. She was sent to write a story. It's why she's there. slowly kind of falls in love and experiences this tragedy, and you see it on her face. And that moment when she pulls that shotgun on him in the final scene is brutal, not just in practical effect execution, but in emotion as well. And it's all because of her face in that moment. It's so good. The acting in this movie is a 5 again for me. It's a 5. I could not ask for anything more from any of these characters in any moment. It's perfect deliveries of every line the entire way through.
What did I say?
What did you say? Since you sent your score to my email, you said a 4.
Yeah. I don't know. That was in one again where I was like, I don't like doing the score because sometimes I don't know what number to give it, and then I just click something.
Okay.
But I
You
thought
just
it
go
was
with how
good.
you feel.
Yeah, it was a good time. I believed it.
Believable and good. Fucking
Yeah.
A. What was your favorite bit of acting?
Good question.
She really liked the whore.
When was that? I don't know. We watched this like 3 days ago. That was a long time ago.
That's the girl in the bar. She's like, "What do you think I am, a whore?"
No,
I don't know. The baboon.
Baboon was a good actor.
The baboon.
Baboon was a good actor.
Oh,
The
notoriously.
baboon gave his life.
she has a thing. She enjoys monkeys. We had to watch all of Planet of the Apes because she's on a baboon.
Oh, dude. Hey, you need to look up your buddy Travis the chimpanzee. Look up that story.
Travis the chimpanzee.
It's a real life story. Look that up.
Was that the one where it like ripped like the trainer that came back after years for his birthday and ripped his genitals off?
It's something along those lines. Anyway, no, it's not that story, but it's very similar because of what happens. All right, my bad.
I just Monkey distraction.
I wanted to know what scene she really liked. Yeah, the acting's amazing, dude. It's a 5 out of 5. Again, a lot of Oscar-worthy performances, in my opinion. Gina Davis, the emotion, Jeff Goldblum, the transformation. The side characters are all incredible. Like, they do exactly what they need to do, from Stannis to the fucking jerks at the bar to the chick he picks up. There's not really any more. Like, this movie is so that I wanted to bring that up a second ago. It's the third time I'm going to mention Breaking Bad tonight, I think, but it's apropos. A lot of shows have an episode sometimes where they hold back on the budget for one particular episode, and it's called the bottle episode of the season. That's when they use minimal characters, and they usually only use like one location, like this movie. There's an episode of Breaking Bad called Fly, where Walt and Jesse are in the lab, and the entire episode, a lot of great dialogue is happening and conversations, but the whole episode they're trying to kill a fly. They're in a lab trying to kill a fly. I'm like, that's
such a great show.
I had to mention it because the tie-in is perfect, because this is The Fly. It takes place in his home / lab, and he ends up dead. So, but just to say, and they did it very minimal movie, and they put all the money towards, I'm pretty sure, the special effects, because I don't know how big of a draw Goldblum or Gina Davis was at the time in 86. I don't honestly know. I don't remember, what movies they were in before that, but I don't think Goldblum was in. I think this is his first lead, to be honest.
This was his first lead. He was coming off of late 70s. He had done Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which we have that one coming up tomorrow.
He played a bit part in some movie where he rapes a chick, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna get it, mother. You're gonna get it," and he's like going crazy. And I heard about this on a podcast that used to exist. Shout out, Say You Love Satan, R.I.P. And I was like, I gotta watch this movie because of the way they describe this scene. Because Jeff Goldblum's being ridiculous, and he's ridiculous. It's worth watching because he's really a psychopath. I wish I could remember the movie. It might be, no, it's not Dark Man. I'm not gonna remember it, but
No, it's Liam Neeson. Yeah.
I'm tangenting my ass off. Yeah, dude, the acting's phenomenal. I don't know what else to say about it that Tim didn't say, and we couldn't get Bailey to stop talking about it, so I'll just stop talking about it right now. Like it's a 5 out of 5, man.
Hell yeah. So I feel like after we talked about it, like this happens to me a lot. I'll score something and then we'll talk about it, and then I'll feel like I need to change a score. And it fits in this situation for acting for sure. The dialogue, just the rapport between Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis through all this, and then the interaction between Gina Davis and John Getz, Stathis. It's so well done. Like Stathis and Ronnie, like with him being the ex and stalking her into that clothing store, and how twisted he gets with his jealousy, like a weird, freaky stalker asshole who thinks he's all powerful would be.
Mm-hmm.
He totally nails it. You know, he really runs in on that. And then with Seth, as he gets through his transformation, how much weirder he gets and how spastic he gets and how emphatic he is with this insistence on getting someone else to go through the pod to be like him, so that he doesn't feel like he's the only one. So that he feels like he has someone who's on this superior level that he thinks he's on, is amazing. And the tragedy of all of it towards the end, and the pain, and Gina Davis in her fear and her nightmare of what could potentially come about with this pregnancy is it's fantastical. And even that part where she goes to see him when he's like mostly transformed, wants to tell him about the pregnancy, but just can't do it. She tries and she chokes up and just ends up leaving. When she's outside talking to Stathis and Seth overhears from the rooftop, she is so insistent, and it's so deeply rooted in her fear that I have to get this out of my body. I have to get rid of this. I can't have this. I got to get rid of it. It's so emotional, and it's very impactful. I was at a 4 and I had to go for 5.
Hell yeah.
Had to go for 5. I mean, and I will say also, as far as lead roles go, year before this movie came out, in 85, Transylvania 6-5000, Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, also with Ed Begley Jr. So they were kind of like the three of them were kind of the three main. But Jeff Goldblum was kind of like the main lead role in that movie the year prior to this film.
Okay.
And it's awesome that him and Gina Davis worked together on that film the year before and then come together in this film is awesome. Even though the other movie, Transylvania 6-5000, heavy comedy, really goofy, cheesy, campy stuff. If you watch that movie from 85 and then go to seeing this for 86, comedy, spook to scientific horror, and the transition between it and those performances and how they differ, it's so drastically different. So if you take that into comparison in watching this, if you see that before, man, it's heavy.
That range.
Deep. So exactly. Lot of range, man. And you got to appreciate the hell out of it.
I got a little trivia for y'all since you brought up them being in, I forgot about that. But at this time, they probably met on that movie. And then during this filming of The Fly, Goldblum and Davis were actually an item. They were together. You want to flip the script? Stannis Baratheon's was over there like macking on Gina Davis, which who wouldn't? But not really. It was just part of the script. But the whole time, Jeff Goldblum was the jealous, nervous wreck behind the scenes. He was like, no, I don't want that scene in there because she's talking about it. There's one of the alternate ending. There's a few alternate ending deleted scenes. I won't spoil them all here for the folks who want to go find them. But one of them was that it turns out that the baby was actually for Stathis. Jeff Goldblum was like, hell no, it ain't. And that ain't going to happen. Cronenberg didn't like it either anyway, really. So he made the final choice and the movie is what it is. But Goldblum was insistent. There was a lot of parts on set where Goldblum was like throwing a hissy fit about certain things that he didn't like involving them two together. So So just
boo.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Wiener.
it happens, man. You know, it just sucks, but it happens.
One other fun note, though, as far as acting goes, David Cronenberg, the director, he played the role of the gynecologist doctor that they tried to go to for the abortion near the end of the film.
What?
Yeah. Cronenberg was the doctor. He was the gynecologist.
The guy that was like in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that
was
was the
Cronenberg?
director. Yeah.
That was him?
I know what he looks like, and that I did not even recognize him.
I guess I didn't know what he looked like in '86.
Right? Yeah. Damn, dope.
But yeah, per the credits, that was him. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of the director, we've talked about him in just about every category. This is a Cronenberg film. And I've seen many, not enough Cronenberg films.
Oh, geez, Rick.
But hands down, this is my favorite Cronenberg film. So far, I still have more to see. Still have more to see of his. I've seen every movie that came before this one: Scanners, The Brood.
You can skip Crimes of the Future. You can skip it.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
It was a very disappointing return to horror. If you want to be bored, you know what? Watch it and decide for yourself, like anything. But if you want to be, in my opinion, if you want to be bored for almost 2 hours, have at it.
My brother saw it and said just about the same thing. But this film, even the way it's directed, so we've talked about great special effects, great music, great acting, great script. All of those things are put together by the director. And there's one scene that the way he handled it, I just thought was beautiful for kind of combining all of that. But when she comes in and sees him on the ceiling and he's crawling across the ceiling and down the wall, and just the way he framed that scene, cutting to her, cutting to him, and it gives you the impression that he's crawling on the ceiling, and at times you feel like they're in the same room, even though there's clearly no way that was filmed that way. But the way he constructed that scene is nearly seamless and fantastic use of the budget, the effects, the acting, all of that. Cronenberg is great at what he does. This is my favorite film of his from the ones that I've seen. So for me, I thought this was a masterful direction for a film like this. The pacing, the way he handled the pace, you can put that in script, you can put that in story. The way he, like the first 30 minutes, she was annoyed.
I was annoyed because there's no flies. I was like, where are the flies?
She looked at the timer. She was like, it took 32 minutes, was it? 32 minutes for the first fly to show up. So she was like, what the heck? Which that's a full third of the 90-minute runtime.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the beauty of it. It's like a scientific thriller in that first third. Then we kind of go on this transformation journey to the pure horror at the end. It was a 5 for me on the direction. Again, I loved the way this movie is put together, the lighting. Yeah. There's just even the shot at the very end after she kills the fly, and it just lingers on her with the flashing lights in the background and the silhouette in that light and in that darkness. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love the way it's almost a play, because we've mentioned it takes place in 90% one room. It could be a stage play and have the same effect.
It was an opera. It was an opera also directed by David Cronenberg.
I totally believe it. And I think he did another, like, a masterful job of not making you feel like it was a low budget, cheap film. Even though it takes place on 90% one set, it still feels big. It still feels grand. It is fantastic. So it was a 5 for me.
What did I say? I think I said 5.
Yeah, you actually said 5.
Good. I stand by that. And
Um,
end scene.
I'm going to echo Tim and Bailey and say this is a 5. Cronenberg is a master of horror. There's no doubt about it. I hate shit talking his latest movie because I don't want to, but I had my experience with it, and that is what it is. But this is the opposite. This is a masterpiece. And we'll get to why it's a masterpiece next. But yeah, perfection. He had the script, which he rewrote constantly, not on set, but he rewrote like the whole script pretty much and made it his own from what the original was. And he was collaborative with his actors, let them make choices. That's what a good director does, in my opinion, because it frees them up to be themselves and to let their best performance pour out of them. He hired the best people to do the job. The cinematographer was incredible. Tim, you mentioned how the lighting was staged. The special effects were incredible. That's what won them an Oscar. The score was incredible. It's Howard fucking Shore, a collaborator at this point, but look what he went on to become afterwards. This is all Cronenberg making great decisions, one after the other. 5 out of 5. I got nothing to add to what you said. You said it all, dude. Great fucking movie from a great fucking director.
Hot damn. Okay. So I don't know if I've seen many other Cronenberg films aside from this one. I've never really paid attention to directors necessarily when it comes to films. But with this one, I like a lot of the small things that he had happening in the film. Like during the beginning of when Seth and Ronnie are driving to the lab, when he's talking about the motion sickness, when they stop, when they get there and he gets out of the car, where he has to like stand there and take a moment to collect himself to kind of recover from his motion sickness. It was a nice touch to kind of help emphasize that part of why he's doing what he's doing. And then what was that? When he's running around town and he's always pulling out these chocolate bars after the transformation is starting to slowly occur. Yeah. Always pulling out these chocolate bars and shit, you know, small little things like that kind of help lend to the idea of the situation and how that transformation is slowly coming across. And then a lot of the shots and how they go through are pretty amazing. But I feel like I'm kind of on the same page with Bailey with how long it took to see a fly. You would think that there would be more lead into that a little bit, because when you get to the lab in certain places, you see how junky part of the place is, how unkempt it is. So you would think that you would get the impression of there be already some flies kind of floating, flying around, you know, as kind of a precursor to let you know what's going to kind of lead into, but you don't.
I'm going to snap both of y'all's necks right now. Are y'all really going to hate this movie because a fucking fly don't show up until later?
I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it. It's just, from what you see from the beginning until it actually happens.
The Fly, not a bunch of flies.
A swarm of flies.
It's called.
And I got like a bug flying around over here.
See, they're coming to get you now because you're talking shit. You and Bailey, the fly's coming for you tonight. You're gonna be trying to sleep and it's gonna nuzzle on your nose and you're gonna be like, oh.
Okay, the dogs eat them when they come in the house, so
I'm
gonna punch a fly in the face. I will punch a fly in the face. But overall, a lot of the angles and the direction he put with some of those scenes, especially like I really enjoyed the part where he goes all Brundle-nastics and stuff, and the shots and how you see him flipping around and like the full totality of that shot. And then the angles again from the other side, and where you see him kind of like kicking off the ceiling as he spins around. And then the back angle again from the other angle to see him come back around again, back over, and then do the flip and land. Which was pretty sick, you know? It was amazing.
Was that Goldblum?
No.
There's no way Jeff Goldblum. I don't believe Jeff Goldblum could have done that.
Because they picked a really good double.
Yeah.
Really
factually, it's a stunt double. That's a different guy.
Because it looks
badass. It was badass.
It looks really good. Looks like him.
I love that you talked about him kicking off the ceiling, because that is one of the little, again, nuances that I noticed watching it, that I'm like, I don't know why it makes me feel good to see just something so small like that in the movie, but it's just like, that's a nice touch to just do that. Yeah.
Those little tiny things like that. That's what gets me. And that's what I really like about those kind of things. You know, And this is one of those situations where when we talk about it now, it's like it impacts me. So I have to change my score again. I was at a 3, so now I'm at a 4.
That's better.
I want to say, since I started doing the nightclub, and even before that, when me and my buddy Cody, we grew up, and he's one of the co-hosts on the show. We grew up watching movies together. Talking about a movie after the fact always brings it up. The conversation you get, I'm getting chills saying this, the conversation you get with your friends, and it's a bonding experience to me. It's communal. This is why we go to the movies and all sit together, is so afterwards, people, if you walk away and you go to your car, that's fine. That's fine. But if you stop because you eavesdrop and you hear someone say something about the movie you just saw and you start a conversation, you're making a friend. Yeah. This is why we talk about movies and we reach out and find each other. This is what it's all about. This is why we're both us. This is why we're here. I love sitting around. She doesn't love me sitting around talking about movies, but we do. That's why I'm here and why we do this.
That's part of how Tim and I got started together, even in art school. We would get out of class late at night. We'd go like, hey, you want to go to a movie? Like, fuck yeah, let's go to a movie. Let's go do this shit. We went and saw Deadpool together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, got the specialty keychains and shit. Like,
way back when. I think I saw a movie like 5 times in years.
Well, I want to thank Bailey, though, even if she don't like it. Thanks for showing up and doing the damn thing. It's cool.
Oh, no, she doesn't like me talking to her about movies.
I don't like it when we have to watch something. It's like at school when they're like, okay, here, you have to read this book. Then I don't want to read it. So when he's like, we have to watch this movie tonight, I don't want to do it.
It's a fight every time.
You got a rebellious streak in you.
It's like, don't tell me what to do.
Because
don't tell me what to watch.
Reluctantly, the reason why she did this one is because after we watched it, she said, I have to confess, I kind of liked that movie. I'm like, yeah, it was good. It's good.
Yeah, dude.
But it's one of you mentioned the conversation after. I've always felt like, for me growing up in high school, the best example of that was in high school, it was Family Guy. Family Guy was about the conversations and repeating the jokes with your friends later. Yeah. Like that was more fun than actually watching the show. We would do
Anchorman all the time. We would just smells like Bigfoot's dick, and it works 70% of the time, every time. It's like, yeah, you just quote these things, and that is the fun of it, man. Like, big time.
Yeah, my friends and I in high school, we had was it Kung Pao Enter the Fist?
Yes.
I've never seen
a lot of minutes.
Kung Pao,
shit like that.
Enter the Fist is one of the best spoofy. It's a hodgepodge of a movie because they took old footage from like these 70s Chinese, Japanese.
It was 2 films. 2 films. They took it from 2 films. They spliced together with all of his extra Odenkirk bullshit.
Yeah. If you've never seen it, watch it. Go for Chokes. Okay.
It's messed up and it's hilarious. Oh God, it's great.
We'll have to add it to the list, Jonathan.
Yes.
Call me Betty. If y'all cover Kung Pao, please invite me.
Give you a call.
Done.
Please.
Done.
I would love to talk about that movie.
Done.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
We'll add it to the calendar.
I was just relating to Jonathan though, as far as the talking about it, definitely brings it up, man. I think so. So like, just roll with it, brother. If it comes up, it comes up.
Hails to the year.
Before we jump into the next category, I want to tell you a little bit about Zencastr. When I was preparing for our 13 Nights of Halloween series, I was really searching for a way to streamline the process. I wanted a professional-looking setup to invite our guests to. I wanted quality audio and video recording, and I wanted the easiest way to release the episodes to as broad of an audience as possible. This is how I landed on Zencastr. It is now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Just log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And speaking of audio quality, Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencaster's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you are thinking of starting your own podcast or just want to streamline what you are already doing, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code AVERAGECUSTOMER, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. That's average customer, one word. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all of my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. So let's dive into the next category.
All right, so let's talk it factor. So the cultural significance of The Fly. This is one of those that I had to get a little critical of. I want to say that it's a 5. It's Academy Award winning film. It's probably, I'm sure there are many of people who would say it's Cronenberg's best film. It's a tour de force, but outside of the horror community, I don't know how well known it is. I know it is a staple of the horror community. And so while I want to give it a 5, I'm going to give it a 4 because I doubt many people who aren't horror movie fans have seen it. And this is where
I might change your mind.
Okay. Well, this is where I'm going to say, like, this is the tragedy of the film, is that I think this film actually transcends the genre. I think it's a film that just about everybody should see. I think it's an important film. I think it is more, like we said, those universal classics, the classic horror stories that have resonated with people for generations and decades. I think this film is up there with those stories, and I think more people should see it, and I think more people should talk about it, because this is one we got quite the list for 13 Nights of Halloween, from Carpenter's The Thing, Suspiria last night, and coming up in a couple nights. We've got quite the list of films. This is one that had hype going into it that I think delivers in every category. And I would recommend this movie to just about anyone. But it is a movie that, like, it's a tragic horror movie at its core. So there's part of me that's like, yeah, you know what? I might recommend it to my mom, knowing that she's going to be very uncomfortable, but that's part of the story. The story is to make you uncomfortable. That's the journey. So it's one that outside of the horror community, I don't know how well known it is, but it's one that I wish was more well known. So I gave it a 4 on the it factor because it has the Academy Award win behind it, because it's a Cronenberg film. But like Jonathan, you said you don't really pay attention to directors, or didn't really. Same. Cronenberg doesn't mean anything to somebody who's not a horror film person. So it's a shame, but it's the truth. So that's where I came out of 4 on this one. I had to come down just a little on it.
Yeah.
Your it factor?
I think I said 3 because I didn't know anything about it. I don't think I'd ever heard of it before. But I also don't pay attention to stuff like that either, so I don't know. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Absolutely right about Cronenberg. He's not going to mean much to people outside of the horror community. If you're in the horror community, you know Cronenberg. And within the horror community, this movie is beloved. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of people do say it's his best film. And it is, in my opinion. Outside of the horror community, this movie has been referenced in multiple pop culture related gags in different television shows. Saturday Night Live has spoofed it and included it in other sketches. There's been songs written about it. Most notably, Ice Nine Kills did a song about it.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ice Nine Kills is fantastic.
Well, I know who they are. I just didn't know they did a song about the fly.
There's
bug. Oh, asshole.
He's still getting attacked
I think
by
it's
a bug.
fitting.
Yeah, it is. The tagline for the movie: "Be afraid, be very afraid." That by itself, people don't know this movie, but they know that tagline.
That's true. That's true.
I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. I think just that tagline alone, people know it. They quote it like they. You could ask somebody on the street, "Hey, do you know this phrase? Be afraid, finish it. Be very afraid." They'll say, "Who said that?" They'll be like a president or something. They might not know the movie, but it's just embedded in the cultural zeitgeist, in the psyche of the culture. Is it a Marvel fucking property? No, but if you're going to compare everything to something that big, you're hard pressed to find anything that's a 5, like really. So I'm not doing it that way. I'm saying it's been in enough stuff since it came out. And it's actually a film franchise. Like, people don't know that either. There's more than even the sequel. There's other things out there. There's comic books. Okay.
I think there's actually, so the original had 2 sequels. I think the box set I have is 5 films. It is 3 of the original, and then this one and the sequel to it.
There you go. So
okay, I never would have known.
It's out there. I mean, I'm giving it a 5 for that. I just don't have the be afraid, be very afraid thing alone is why I'd give it a 5, because people know what that is. They might not know it's from this movie, but they know that goddamn tagline.
You know how tragic this is? That you mentioned that, and I genuinely did not realize it was from this movie, even though it's on the poster. It's in the film.
Yeah.
I thought this film was using that line from something else. I didn't realize this film was the origin.
It's the origin.
Well, now I want to change my score.
I told you I'd change your mind, baby.
Damn it, Travis. Damn.
Yeah, dude.
Are you going to change it, Tim? Are you going to change? It's never too late.
Because
I knew it. Be afraid, be very afraid. Far
People
before
know
I knew this film.
They know it, dude. I'm telling you.
You got a good point on that one.
It's iconic, dude. It's iconic.
Guess what? My score is changing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay.
Boom.
It Factor is a 5 for me.
Changing the score.
That brings it up. I'm kind of amazed at my score. I'll tell you later. But yeah, Jonathan, if Travis was done.
Yeah. All right. So that line, if you lived through the 80s and early 90s, that was a very common phrase or common line. Be afraid, be very afraid. Anyone kind of like born maybe in like mid-late 90s might not get that so much. But if you lived through like the 80s and early 90s, then yeah, that was a very common phrase. I remember that line being spoken so many times, but I never realized that it was from this film. So it does have now a far outreaching impact. But for me overall, I mean, the idea of abortion was still kind of like a dark sided tone that most people didn't want to go into in those times. So there is that impact in itself, that idea of abortion and the horrors that a woman would experience with that has a huge impact on culture. Other than that, it was just, it's a crazy sci-fi film. And I didn't even really think of it. Originally, I never really thought of it as a horror film. For me, it was just a dark sci-fi film, and that's okay. And then you think about where you talked earlier about the AIDS epidemic and how impactful that was. And when you see Jeff Goldblum, Seth, in those early beginning stages of his transformation, where he starts getting the lesions that start slowly coming out, and the fear that comes with that and how your body changes, it's a scary thing. A lot of people may not think about it, but if you really get down to the meat and potatoes of it, like, yeah, there's a deep impact there because, I mean, even in the 80s, just like in any other time period, there's always a sense of vanity and wanting to be good looking and handsome and beautiful. And the fact that your body could change to who knows what kind of situation and you fall apart, that can be detrimental to a lot of people. Like I said, once I talk to people in conversations, some bitch, you know.
Yeah.
I was sitting at a 3. Now I'm definitely going for a 4.
Okay.
So I'm gonna sit in a 4. And during this whole thing, I've also been thinking, going back to the special effects, I still haven't had anything come up in my mind that I could really bring to the forefront that trumps that or goes equal with. So I'll even go back if I can, and I'll change my score on the special effects from 4 to a 5.
Yeah, bud.
You got me, Travis. You got me fucked up. I'm on it. So I'm going with it. So I'm changing that, but for it factor, I'm going from 3 to a 4. And I feel it's very appropriate in consideration of those details. And you also think about it as well, not only that, but in the 80s, as culture changes and people develop and society changes, when you think about Stathis as that ex-boyfriend involvement, that person who has power over Ronnie still in some way as her editor, and how creepy he is and kind of perverse in his way, and how people were a lot like that in that time. It really gives that sense to a lot of people to watch yourself, you know, especially for women. Watch out for these shitty guys that you involve yourself with, you know, stay away from these dudes. And when you break it off, you still got these weird stalkers that are coming after you got to watch out for. And that sits pretty heavy in a lot of ways.
The way she stands up to him is fantastic.
Exactly. That women empowerment to stand up for yourself and don't take no shit from some fucking asshole.
Yep. It's good.
And that's pretty hard. So yeah, I feel definitely changing the score on that to a 4. Very well worthwhile.
Okay. So this is the score out of 10. The entertainment value. How entertained were you by this film? This is easy. So the score is 0 to 10. 10 is, would I turn around and watch this movie again immediately? The answer is yes. Yes, I would. This is a 10 for me on enjoyment level. You got a full range of emotions. You got beautiful direction, beautiful story. You have tragedy, humor, all of it. I love it. This is why I watch horror movies. I was surprised at my score when I look back and like, this movie is up there with Psycho for me as far as scores go. This is one of those movies where everything just fits together perfectly. And I can't find a complaint. I love this film. I would turn around, watch this film again immediately. So it's a 10 for me. It's a 10. Easy.
I think I said 8, right? Yeah.
You were actually a 9.
Was I?
Oh, snap.
What?
I don't know.
Haley's highest score yet.
Yeah, I don't know if you could tell by her overwhelming enthusiasm throughout the episode, but
I don't know.
She was a 9.
I think you only yelled at me about picking up my phone one time.
It kept your attention.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
nice.
no, I just have a hard time sitting
Don't
through.
yell at you.
Whatever. I have a hard time sitting through and watching anything. So the fact that I wasn't bored.
She
And I
wasn't
liked
scrolling
it.
TikTok.
Yeah. I
Oh,
enjoyed it. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I've given everything a 5. It's a fucking 10. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a nightclub 10 out of 10. That's how we rate things on the nightclub. This whole fucking movie is perfect. It's perfect. Fuck it from start to finish. Hour and a half, tight story, amazing acting, great direction, special effects are crazy. Yeah, dude, it's a 10 out of 10 enjoyment factor, and yeah, whatever that final score adds up to, I forget on the average what the top score is, but this movie gets it.
It
Right
does.
on.
I'm not going to spoil your final score, but yeah.
So I like this movie a lot. It is a great film. I'm very entertained. It kicks a lot of ass in so many ways. But the way it kind of cut right at the end after blowing out Seth Brundle's flies brains, it was just kind of a really short cut right after blowing out his brains with no other detail or wrap up of anything. I would still recommend this film. I think it's a great one to recommend to a lot of folks. I still feel pretty comfortable sitting at an 8 with it.
Okay. All right. So final thoughts and our grand totals on the score. So yeah, I said this is up there with Psycho for me, which Psycho is probably my favorite film of all time. I don't know if this is one of my favorite films of all time, but it's hard for me to find a flaw in this film, and I love this film. So the only point I ended up deducting was the fact that it's a remake, and so it takes the bones from something that came before it. It turns it into something new, though. So whether that's a point against it or a point for it, I put it against. It's a 49 out of 50 for me, or basically 5 out of 5 stars total. It's so good. I don't have much else to say about it that I haven't already. I think I show up. I want there to be that element of tragedy to my horror. There are those movies that just go for shock value. And yeah, I get like, I love a slasher movie. Love them. But there's often that missing element of the tragedy that's unfolding. And the horror is the tragedy of him becoming something horrific, losing his grip on himself, losing his grip on reality and what made him human. And that is just beautifully upsetting. And I love it. And that's what I want. I want to feel those things when I watch a horror movie. There's horror. I've said it in many of our episodes by now. There's horror for entertainment. And that's fantastic. I love that. And then there's horror that gets under your skin and is disturbing. And both of them are wonderful and serve their purposes. This is the one that gets under your skin and is upsetting and is disturbing for all the right reasons. And that makes it that much better for me. It's a 5 out of 5 stars. It's 49 out of 50 in the grand total, but that's going to round up to 5 out of 5 stars for the people who use the 5-star method. But that's where I'm at on this. This is a flawless horror film. It's great. You're 40.
What did I was 43? Okay.
So 4.5 stars.
Sounds good. Yeah, my only final thought that I put in there was where's the baboon, but I guess we answered that. So
Beaten to death with a lead pipe.
Or monkey.
amazing. But yeah,
Amazing.
liked it. It's like a good time. I probably watch it again in like 2 years.
Hell yeah.
That's big. She's usually a one and done for movies.
That's a good rewatch factor. I'm coming in with a full 50 points on the average score. This is a 5 out of 5. It's a perfect movie. I said that a minute ago. It's just watching the Goldblums go from a nerdy but charming guy to an obsessive, psychopathic insect politician. And Gina Davis dealing with it the whole way through while trying to navigate Stannis Baratheon's conquest of the Seven Kingdoms. It's crazy. It's crazy what this movie puts us through. The special effects really elevate it. This is, I know people don't like this term. I kind of do, and I don't know why, but I kind of do. This is elevated horror. This is horror on the next level. the way Tim put it, you have horror for entertainment, Terrifier, right?
Yep.
And then you have Hereditary, horror that makes you think, makes you feel something. This movie, if you let it in, it's going to make you feel something. And we all touched on the abortion aspect of it, and I didn't talk about it, but that aspect of this movie is undersung when people talk about this movie generally. And it's very important to her character, Jenna Davis's character in this film. The impact that has on the audience watching it and her character, both important. And earlier tonight, Jonathan described the scene where she says, I just need it out of me. I don't want this in my body, because she's afraid for her and what the baby is going to become, perchance, if it becomes something more than a human. She says it could start out normal, but then it could change into something else. That's what this movie does. It starts out normal enough, then it creeps up and it fucking smacks you on the ass. The Fly is a 5 out of 5, and it's a 10.
A 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That word, I'm not gonna say it. But yeah, I mean, my original scoring started out at a 37, but like we've already said, with that coming together and the bonding with people when you discuss things, when you connect over something amazing like this, I've elevated my score from a 37 to a 41.
You came up quite a bit on this.
That's
one.
a big kick up for me.
Yeah.
That's a big kick up for me. And there is a lot of great delivery in this film, great performance. And it's funny because, like I said earlier, when in contrast to this, and then Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis the year before in 85 being in Transylvania 65000, after I got done watching this movie, I was very compelled to go a year back before that to 84 and watched Buckaroo Banzai in the Fifth Dimension.
Whoa.
Which also stars Jeff Goldblum. Well, I shouldn't say stars Jeff Goldblum, but Jeff Goldblum is in it along with Peter Weller and John Lithgow and a whole other cast of amazing people. And for me, seeing that contrast and development as an actor for Jeff Goldblum in like this kind of like not even B, but like a C role character in Buckaroo Banzai, and taking like a co-lead role in 85 in Transylvania, and then being this lead man in 86 in The Fly is fantastic. And it's wonderful to be able to see the scale in an actor's career as they develop their craft. And I got a lot of respect for Jeff Goldblum. He's a fantastic weirdo today, and I'm glad that he's still around and that he's had such an amazing portfolio of work.
Yeah,
over decades. He's got a hella range, man. So
Isn't he in the Capital One commercial?
Yeah, he's in the
That's what I
Capital.
knew.
apartments.com as well.
This ball
With aliens and shit.
He was in The Fly, and he was also in Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie and on their television. Like Jeff Goldblum is just a 10. He's a 10.
Yeah.
This dude's amazing.
No, he was good in the Thor movie. What was it? The second one?
Thor Ragnarok. He was.
Yeah, when he was the villain guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of, we have Jeff Goldblum tomorrow on night 5 of 13 Nights of Halloween when we talk about the 1970s Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He's in that one as well. So
was that 78?
Yep.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Another movie that's had multiple remakes, but 78.
There's that one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Donald Sutherland, baby.
So yeah, I think that's the average. So the whole reason why we're here, taking in all the scores together, we actually averaged out to, rounding up, it was 46.75. So rounded that up to 47 out of 50. So overall, So
Damn.
pretty solid. If you're lining up your Halloween movies for a party, this is most likely going to be a good choice. It's most likely going to resonate with quite a few people.
Mhm.
So this is a good one.
Mhm.
This is a good one. So
You know
Travis-
what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, but now that I keep seeing the film in your background, and then it keeps like kicking more thoughts into my brain. And just a side note, it kind of kicks back to acting and direction, but like through his transformation, like when you see him, like when Ronnie comes to visit him after part of that initial transformation, when he's walking with the canes
Yeah.
and the movements and the body action.
Yeah.
And how insect-like that is. Like, man, that's damn good. Damn good.
Yeah.
This is going to be the kind of movie that when you watch it the next time, you're going to like it even more and then more and more. Same to you,
Yeah.
Bailey. Watch
It's a
it
grower.
again in 2 years. You're going to be like, I like this a little bit more.
It's going to
Promise
be up
you.
there with Hereditary.
I
haven't
would
even
also-
watched Hereditary in a couple of years. It's been a while.
I would also recommend, for the sake of just kind of carrying on with it, I still recommend watching the sequel. If you like Eric Stoltz, watch the sequel. It does give you more perspective on what happened with the baby, the birth, and where things go from there. With I think that's cool. So I still say everyone should check out the sequel, The Fly 2.
The sequel piques my interest because it's
do it.
directed
By
the guy
Chris Wallace.
who created The Fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's very fun. And if you think you want to watch it, don't think about it anymore. Watch
Just
it.
watch it.
You're gonna have
Do it.
you're gonna,
Just
it
do
ain't
it.
gonna it ain't gonna be this. I'll say that, but you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
It's a good carry on from
Yeah.
the first.
So I think that's all we have to say. Well, we could probably keep going, but for
Easily.
sake of longevity, we're going to wrap it up for this tonight. So Travis, thank you for joining us. It's
Thank
great
you for
to have
having
you.
me. Thank you.
Yeah.
As always. I love it.
And we will be back in, I don't know how many nights now, but Travis will be back to join us when we dive into the original Fly, starring, well, he's not starring, but he's in it. Another Vincent Price. We went from no Vincent Price films to 2 this year, and I'm excited about it. So
Yeah.
we got Vincent Price, and both of them were joined by the nightclub. So we had Ricky for the original House of Wax. We got Travis for this one. So
Hell yeah.
we'll see you tomorrow night for Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Peace.